Hello everyone, this is the dresser we are going to be working on today. I got this piece off of Facebook Marketplace for free because someone was moving and they just needed it gone. It's in pretty good condition, just a bit outdated with some minor bubbling on the top and a few scratches, nothing we can't fix. Like always, I'm starting by removing the hardware. A lot of the time with these older pieces, the hardware is already loose, which makes removing them super easy. I am hoping to keep them and give them a nice coat of gold spray paint to spruce them up. You can see I'm also taking out the drawers as I go to help with the next step, which will be cleaning. Once all the hardware is off, I make sure to put it in some container or a bag like I did here to keep it all together. There has been times where I didn't do that and I ended up losing pieces. I'm sure you all can relate to that, whether it be missing hardware pieces or some other project that you're working on. To get this piece clean and ready for paint, I mixed together warm water and Dawn dish soap. Not only is it affordable and in many of your homes already, it also does the job really well. I make sure to clean everywhere, including the inside of the dresser as well. Now, when I see the water getting dirty like this, I make sure to switch it out before continuing, otherwise you're basically just spreading it around. I had to do this before moving on to the drawers. After cleaning the drawers, I also rinsed down the piece with warm water alone. Then it was time to make some repairs and modifications. Here I'm showing you this decoration piece that is falling down a bit. Simple taps with a hammer will get it back into place. You can also use some wood glue for extra strength, but I didn't do that because I'm actually going to be taking them off. You can see that I'm using my hammer and putty knife to pry it away instead of hammering it back in. Once that first piece was off, I went in and did the same exact thing with the next two pieces. I see this decoration style on a lot of dressers that I work with. I got lucky with this one. You can't always take them off like I did, but here is them all off. I might save them for another project because they are kind of cool. Underneath that middle section was particle board, so I took my wood filler and filled that in to give it a smooth surface for paint. Then I started sanding the top down. It's hard to see on camera, but the top was bubbling pretty bad. You can usually get rid of that by sanding it with a medium grit. It would be much easier with a sander, but because we are in the middle of winter here in Minnesota, there was no way I was going to get this piece outside. After sanding best that I could, I went in with a microfiber towel just to get all of that dust off before we moved on to the next step. So after hand sanding the best that I could, I took my wood filler yet again to fill in any previous scratches. And there were quite a few by the time I was done with this top. I had to let that dry for a few hours, but then I was able to go in with 100 grit sandpaper to smooth it all out. While I had my sandpaper out, I also gave the rest of the piece a good scuff sand so that it would be ready for primer. Again, making sure to use my microfiber towel to get all of the dust particles off. For priming, I am using my Zinsser 321 primer, and I actually did 2 coats of this primer on the top here. I only showed the first coat, but I thought with all of the previous bubbling and how I had to sand a lot of that down, I just wanted to make sure that we were ready for the paint when the time had come. So I did 2 coats of the primer there, and then 1 coat of primer on the rest of the dresser, including the drawer fronts as well. When it comes to technique and efficiency with priming, I like to use a roller. I did start out with using a paintbrush, and it took a lot of time, and I think I have gathered with rolling, it gives a lot smoother of a finish. I mean, I barely can feel that roller texture, so I like to roll on my primer nowadays. But I have seen it brushed on, I have brushed it on myself, so if you want to do it that way, you can too. And pro tip, you can actually use that rolling pad a few times as long as you're using it for the same product, and obviously you will have to seal it up either with a baggie or some ceramic wrap just so that it doesn't dry out, but I usually use a rolling pad 2 to 3 times before I end up throwing it away. Now over the past month or two, I've gotten really into this BB Frosh paint transformer. I'm sure you guys have seen it before, but I really like using it because you can buy gallons and gallons of paint and just use that. In the long run, it is a lot more affordable, so as much as I do like the furniture paint brands and do use them, I really like using the transformer as well. I do have a video on how to actually use the paint transformer, and I will link that down below if you want to see it, but I decided not to mix it up in the video for you guys just because it can get a little repetitive. So if you haven't seen how to use the paint transformer, I will link that down below. But I am using a black from Lowe's. I don't even know the name. I got it so long ago. But I'm just coming to an end of this big gallon, and I have done so many projects with it. Just for a little bit more of a background, the paint transformer practically takes any type of paint, even if it is a wall paint, a furniture paint, and turns it into a chalk style paint so that you can use it on your furniture. I did used to use this paint without the paint transformer, and I didn't notice too much of a difference, but I do know that with using the paint transformer, your paint holds up a lot better than it would without, and if this is going to be a high traffic piece, you definitely want that on your furniture instead of just a regular paint. As soon as I was finished with the first coat, I had to let it dry for a couple hours. There is always that dry time that you have to think about. And then I went in with the second coat of paint, which got very good coverage for me. As soon as the paint had dried, I was ready to put on my top coat. I like to use the Minwax polyacrylic in clear matte, and what I do is I take some more of the leftover color and I mix it with the polyacrylic. This really helps, especially on those darker colors with the cloudiness. And then I just apply that to the entirety of the dresser and the drawer fronts. Now once you're done with this, you do want to make sure that you are kind of checking your piece over. I think you can see in a few clips here that if you look kind of underneath the dresser, you can see some spots that I've missed. So you want to make sure that you're always going back and checking for spots that you might miss before you actually go ahead and sell your piece. Now that the poly is on, we just gotta let that dry. I'm gonna get the hardware on and we're starting to wrap up this piece. If you like this type of content, please make sure you give it a thumbs up and subscribe. We're so close to 1,500 subscribers. I can't thank you guys enough for that. I also want to mention that you will see in the final reveal the poly looks like it's not completely dry yet, and that's because there was a little bit of dry time left to it. So if you do notice that, that is why, but otherwise it is time to get into the final reveal.